Hello, good morning, and welcome to the first session of this week's Google AI Summer Bootcamps. We are here to talk about today's topic, which is mastering measurement in an AI-first world. And the fact that algorithms and AI are becoming ever more powerful shouldn't be news to any of us on this call. And we also know that algorithms and AI need data to work. So today we'll be talking about how we master measuring this data and also how we can leverage first-party data in the AI-first world that we now live in. I am really happy to see so many of you here joining us live. But if you are watching the recording, a very warm welcome to you as well. And that already addresses one of the more frequently asked questions that we have in these sessions. A recording of all of the week's sessions will be available on the Accelerate with Google platform. So if you miss a session, you can catch up later, or if for some reason you have to step out, you can go and watch it back. And if you have colleagues who are, how dare they, currently on holiday or are missing the sessions for some reason, they can also watch them back at a later point in time. The great thing about joining these sessions live is that you can ask questions via the chat. So please make use of that. I want to make sure you get the most out of your time here. And I've prepared lots of content for you. But please do let me know if things are unclear or something is not covered. And I will do my best to answer. And I might do that actually during the presentation itself, if it fits in the flow of things. But if not, then I will get to it at the end of the session because I have allocated some time for Q&A there. Bit more housekeeping. Next to the video, you can find some additional resources. The most important one for you probably is a document with a summary of the most important points from today as a takeaway for you. And then the most important one for me is the feedback forms, but we'll come back to that at the end. And as you've probably seen when you signed up for today's webinar, you've seen that it's one out of the 3 that we're running this week, the Google AI Summer Bootcamps. Today is about measurement. And then tomorrow we'll be talking about AI performance solutions. And on Thursday, we'll be talking about video ads and unlocking campaign success on YouTube. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can use the QR code that's on the screen to sign up to the other sessions. And I'll be here. I hope you will be too. So before we really dive into the content, I also want to quickly introduce myself properly. My name is Christina, and I'm hosting this AI Summer Bootcamp. And I've been doing trainings for Google for a while. So if this is not the first time we meet, it's great to see you again. And when I'm not hosting training sessions for Google, I sometimes also coach and mentor and accelerator programs. But most of the time, I'm actually a PPC consultant and run my own small agency in London. That's also where I am streaming from to you today. And if you haven't, why don't you say hi in the chat and also tell us where you're dialing in from? And then we are connected by just knowing where we are. So my work on special days like today is I host trainings, but my other work days probably don't look very different from what all of your work days look like, because I spend my time working in Google Ads accounts, managing campaigns, talking to clients. And while most of my client work nowadays is predominantly B2B, I also still work and am involved in different B2C businesses. So still know my way around the merchant center and a shopping feed. And I'm just really happy that I get to run these trainings and also connect with my former Googly self, because 15 years ago, I was actually an account strategist at Google in Dublin. And between then and today, I've run a lot of campaigns, learned a lot of things that we should do to run successful Google Ads campaigns, and also that we maybe shouldn't do. And I'll share many of those that are relevant to the topic with you in the next hour or so. Here's our agenda for today's session, which we kick off with a brief reminder on where we stand with measurement in today's first-party world, in today's measurement, in today's AI-first world. And we'll then get into customer match, and I'll share with you some very exciting technology that finally makes those accessible properly to us privacy-loving Europeans. And then we'll close with how we can use first-party data. I'll be saying that a lot today, so I better get it right. First-party data and modeling for optimizing our campaigns, and then also go into the Q&A. But if you have questions, please ask them anytime during the sessions. Don't wait for the end, and I will address them either where they fit in the flow, or I will keep them for the end. But it's always good to know what you have coming in, so that way you also won't forget if you keep them till the end. So let's jump right in and talk about today's big topic, which is first-party data. In the past, we have often relied on third-party data. Basically gotten the data from platforms that are completely outside of our control to measure user interactions or conversions, or we have relied on external sources for our audience information. And as most of you are probably aware, this has been changing over the last few years. Because in this day and age, both user expectations and regulatory requirements on privacy have increased. So we basically have to get our own data that can be enhanced server-side tracking, but also offline conversions or interactions with your content on your own channels, for example, on YouTube. And then there are some other exciting things that we will talk about today. And while gathering data is getting more and more challenging, we also now have AI in our corner that is the best possible technology that we've ever had, that helps us leverage all this data for campaign optimizations. The flip side to being able to do all these things with data is AI is only as good as the data we put into it. And as with all algorithms, you've probably heard trash in, trash out. That still holds. So one of our jobs as digital marketers today is making sure that we have the right data available to the AI and also provide the context for it to understand the data. I mean, our jobs are changing, and they're changing a lot, because once the AI has the data, it's doing a much better job at leveraging it than we could ever do in manual setups. But really, like getting the right data to the right place is crucial. And that is something that only we can do. The classic way of tracking using third-party cookies is becoming less and less. It's no longer really a signal that we can rely on to inform both the human decisions that we make in our campaign optimizations, but also the machine-based decisions that algorithms make for us. And a large chunk of web traffic analytics is already missing. So a large frame of the web traffic we may be receiving is already missing third-party cookies because of browsers like Safari and Firefox, where cookie durations are now shortened to 24 hours, or sometimes no data is collected at all. And the timeline with Chrome with regards to third-party cookies is always evolving, but there will also be changes on the horizon with regards to how users actually allow websites to track. And if people start opting out there, we could be losing out on a lot more data. And we really have to prepare and work on alternatives for that. And that is why we are here today. So we have all these changes driven by regulation that require user consent, and depending on the country, the industry, and also how exactly your cookie banner, what exactly your cookie banner looks like, you could easily be losing out 30 to 60% of user data. And the technology changes that I just mentioned, the browsers, also impact this data loss. But then having a first-party data strategy that is enhanced with AI can actually create better marketing performance. And some data that we have at Google says that it's 1.5 times better for companies who have a first-party data strategy and leverage AI than for competitors who are not doing that. So there is a lot of opportunity here. And the message is not entirely new. Awareness of the power of first-party data has definitely increased. And most companies say that it is important for their digital marketing. And here's another stat that drives that home. Advertisers who are linking their first-party data sources actually see a 2x revenue uplift. But I don't know about you, but in my daily work, I often see the awareness, but then it's not always implemented also. And to know and not to do is kind of still not to know. But the implementation can sometimes be tricky, and especially working in organizations where you have also data protection officers that you need to bring on board. That can be that can just be difficult, and that then means that everybody is aware that it's a good idea, but it doesn't actually get done. So how can we get it done and really also get good results for our campaigns? And that is why I am extremely excited to be talking to you about customer match today, because that is an area of using first-party data that is very effective. I've again brought some stats and have also seen similar things with clients where I have managed to get these implemented. We on average see like a 20% increase in conversions per dollar. So we're getting more efficient, also at lower CPCs, because the system just knows where to spend and doesn't spend too high on irrelevant users. And it's also helping the ad platforms to find more conversion-ready users, because it's increasing conversions by on average 5.3% when customer match lists are used. And customer match has been around for a while. And like I said, I often struggled to get clients to implement it because it was hard to bring all the stakeholders on board. And so it always kind of fell to the bottom of my implementation lists. And I focused on other projects and initiatives because I was just maybe not confident enough that I could actually push it through with all the stakeholders. But I will show you today how the confidential computing technology works that finally really unlocks this, or should unlock this for all of us. So here's a brief reminder of what customer match is and does. Customer match helps us reach custom segments of our existing customers and acquire new ones, or also deliver a tailored message to them. It's privacy safe because it relies on consented first-party data, and we will be speaking extensively how we get this data into the system. And then they also allow us to tailor our marketing. Using customer match lists also allows us to tailor our marketing messages to different audiences, like either differentiating between new and existing customers, or even segmenting existing customers so we can target them specifically. And most importantly, it is a central signal for AI-powered campaign types, because it teaches the AI what our customers look like and how they behave, which then enables the algorithms to find more users that have similar characteristics, or a bit higher for those users. Yeah, just lots of AI things happening in the background. And then there are also some more advanced use cases, like new customer acquisition, which we'll talk about in detail later as well. So this is how we can use customer match in our campaigns today. The first step is uploading the lists, either manually, or there are also, and we'll talk about the specific ways of how we can do this later. Also, either you upload them like an actual list, or you can also do this through integrations with common CRM and CMS systems. And then there is also another way. If you are using enhanced conversions, you can also build conversion-based customer lists, and I will show you how this works in our demo and talk about this later. because that is a really a quick, easy to implement way of getting the first-party data into your system that doesn't require any, anything that you wouldn't have in place anyways if you have enhanced conversions. And very important, the next step is you can then improve how the system actually uses your lists, and we'll have the look at the options here in more detail as well. And then the data is in Google Ads, and the Google AI leverages to target, to optimize in smart bidding, and also other AI features. Customer Match has been around for a while, actually 10 years, which, this makes me feel old. But in the past, it is not the same product. And the reason why we're talking about it today is because it has changed a lot. In the past, its main use cases were targeting or the exclusion of specific audiences, whereas now it's just an important signal for AI. And having customer lists in accounts really now is just, when I do account audits, it's a checkbox for account hygiene. Like, is this account set up for success? And in order to do that, or in order to be that, these should be in place. In the past, the only ways we could upload data was either manually or through custom APIs. And with most of my clients, manual uploads are just tedious. If you've done it, you know. And also, usually, we don't have the capacity to build custom APIs. So it's very welcome that now with Google Ads Data Manager, we have a privacy-safe and out-of-the-box privacy-safe system, and also out-of-the-box integrations with most CRMs and CMS platforms. And also, where in the past we needed audiences to have at least 1,000 users, now we only need 100 users in the audience, and we'll talk about that more later as well. And the main reason that we're talking about Customer Match so extensively today is because despite its potential and also the awareness that we've seen of how important first-party data is, we still see that a lot of advertisers are not actually leveraging it yet. And that means that you are leaving money on the table. And I don't know about you, but most of my clients have gotten a lot more interested in efficiency of their marketing spend over the last 2 years. So it seems like an excellent time to deploy this feature. And once we have the lists in our accounts, we can leverage them in different ways. First one is as the AI signal, which is the whole, the reason why we're here today. We just apply. We have the lists in our accounts, and then we can apply them to our campaigns, and have them either as lists on our search campaigns, or also use them as audience signals in PMAX or app campaigns. But even if we have the lists in our accounts, I can leverage them. They don't need to be applied to campaigns, and I'll be coming back to this. And then we can also use them for as the foundation for lookalike audiences in demand gen campaigns, which we'll talk about in a lot more detail, which we'll talk about later. And then those are kind of like the new applications. And then we also still have, we can use the customer match lists in a more classic way, the way that it's always been around. We can use it to retarget specific users or also exclude specific users from campaigns. For example, in my line of work, my clients often have apps on the internet, like that a lot of people log into because they're enterprise solutions. And we really don't want them to click on our brand search every time they are too lazy to click on a bookmark or type in the URL to go to the website. So then, we would exclude a list from specifically from the brand campaign, just to prevent that unnecessary spend. And based on the goal that your advertising goal or your optimization goal, here is an overview of how you can leverage customer match and which features it gets applied to and what the recommended solution is. And then very importantly, also a list of the benefits. So you have some benchmarks for the KPIs that can be impacted, which hopefully helps you to make the case with your stakeholders to push the implementation of this. If you need to convince people that it's worthwhile, then these numbers should be really helpful, because you can use this as to calculate the average uplift and have an idea of the impact that you can have. And if you're implementing customer match audience to leverage in your smart bidding campaigns, like I said, you only need to have the lists in your accounts, and they will then automatically be leveraged. But when you do that, so basically step one is you set up the campaigns, or you maybe already have the campaigns running, and then you upload the lists, and then they will automatically be leveraged. And then it's very important, and this is also a reminder to myself, that whenever we make changes to smart bidding campaigns, we need to give them time to actually let the algorithms calibrate. And it takes 1 to 2 weeks. And during that time, we shouldn't rush to evaluate. We really need to give the algorithms time to leverage the data, and then we can look at we can evaluate the performance. And if you have on your recommendations page any smart bidding, any recommendations for about smart bidding, there you can actually also see some of the signals that maybe are driving conversions, and see if your customer match lists show up there. And we've mentioned already life cycle goals a few times in passing, and I did it in passing because we'll be talking about them extensively at this point. And most sophisticated advertisers nowadays don't treat all users the same, because both new and existing customers play very important roles in our marketing strategies. Because somebody who has already bought from us and had a good experience is much more likely to go and buy from us again. I'm sure you all have go-to brands and retailers like that. I sure do. And as advertisers, we, of course, want more of those users, because we want to acquire new users who then turn into long-term users. But also, we have we also maybe want to acquire specifically high value ones. And we also have the opportunity to keep to re-engage users with PMax campaigns. And life cycle goals are the thing that enables us to guide our campaigns to do exactly that. And we do the most important cornerstone of these life cycle goals are customer match lists, because they inform the campaigns who are already our customers and who are new customers. And the new customer acquisition goal, which we'll also see on our demo, that exists on search, shopping, and PMax campaigns. And what we can then do is we can set a value for how much a new customer is worth to us, and enable that in the campaign. And on PMax campaigns, we also have two additional goals that we can use. So we have new customer acquisition with optimization for high value customers, and then also retention for existing customers. And yeah, we'll see what this looks like in practice when we do our demo. If you have any questions so far on customer match, then let me know, because we'll now move on to the next section where we actually look behind the scenes of how a lot of the things that we just discussed work, and how we can implement them. And we actually have 3 questions, and we'll go through them now because I think it makes sense. The one question is, do you have any tips for a company that doesn't have the 1,000 required contacts to get them fast to be eligible? Any tips to activate it or an alternative strategy? I mean, we'll be talking about match rates later. The good thing is you need 100. You no longer need 1,000, but yeah, but run more campaigns to get them. And then this next question is, are there any restrictions based on industry? We often see challenges using this for health-related advertisers. If this is the case, how else can first-party data be leveraged? Yeah, unfortunately, there are challenges, or it's not possible to use this in certain restricted industries, because also from a consumer perspective, maybe we would want that. I, off the top of my head, don't have anything prepared of how else we can leverage first-party data here. Maybe I'll get back to it if something comes to mind. And then we have another question of what are the use case for this in B2B search ads? Like I said earlier, my one customer excludes basically the user base of their apps from their brand campaign, of their software from their brand campaigns. But then generally, I mean, if any lists that you have also of high value customer of your customer list, I also always push them into the account, just so that the system knows that these are customers, and then this informs my smart bidding also on my search campaigns and makes them perform better. And then lifecycle goals in search campaigns we'll talk about. Which information the customer list contains we'll also talk about. And the next questions we'll also get to in the flow of the session. Very good. So like I said, we are going to look behind the scenes. And we'll be looking at these 3 areas. The first one is the interoperability, or how actually customer match list creation is becoming a part of existing solutions and therefore is now as seamless as possible. The next one is simplification and data security. And this is my personal highlight in today's session, because confidential computing does make list creation easier and also, more important, compliant and privacy safe. And then the application and activation of customer match data, which it will be our lifecycle goals. I mentioned these before, the conversion-based customer lists, and I actually had some of my account managers help me implement these last year already. So you might also be running them. If not, we will set this up in our demo account later, because what it does is, when a user converts, if you have enhanced conversions and a user converts, this feature automatically adds a user to a customer list, the user that converts. So conversion happens, 2 things happen. The conversion gets reported in your conversion columns, and then also the user automatically gets added to a list. And this is the easiest way. We literally only have to tick a box in the interface. And it's great because we just create highly relevant audience lists, leveraging an existing setup. And it's important to note that all the data here is reported in an aggregated and anonymized way, so you get greater performance and optimization capabilities without ever compromising user privacy. And what works for Google Ads conversions also works for analytics conversions. If you have user-provided data implemented in your Google Analytics tags, of course. So your analytics conversions, if you import them, can also be used as customer match list. You can also set up custom like conversion-based customer match lists with your conversions. And so depending on your goals and the strategy that you have for reaching them, you can adopt different solutions. So this is also a good summary. If you use smart bidding across your campaigns and optimize targeting in your audience campaigns, then customer match information about users on your lists will automatically be leveraged as a smart bidding signal and also as a targeting signal. And if you want to optimize for new customers, then the new customer acquisition goal is the go-to strategy that you can leverage. And yeah, as we will see this also in the account, and I've mentioned it a few times before, like all your customer match lists can enhance your smart bidding models, and you can toggle this on and off in your Google Ads account, because once they are in the account, the Google AI will automatically use them to enhance your smart bidding models. So you will just automatically have all the things in there that you can use for enhancing your campaign performance. And we'll see in a moment how we can better tell the system about the nature of the users on our list to actually make this work better, so that we can see. So that that's like one of the levers that we have to actually help the AI understand what we're doing. And the audience signals from our customer match lists, like I said, they improve the performance of our campaigns, and then they also form the foundation for more advanced use cases for audiences. And these are the customer. The most common one is the customer acquisition goal. So you probably, and this is also the life cycle goal that we can leverage in search campaigns, coming back to the question that we had earlier. You probably already have different ways of engaging existing customers, and retention and upsell campaigns also definitely have their place in the Google Ads campaign mix. But what every business needs, if they don't have some freak amazing business model, is new customers to survive. And that's why we have the NCA, or the new customer acquisition goal. And it's a setting that we can have either at the account level or at the campaign level in search, shopping, and PMAX campaigns. And what we can do here is, ideally, maybe we have worked with our business intelligence team so that we know how much it is worth to us to acquire a new customer. So then we can add, we can add this value in our campaign settings, and then this will be added to kind of like the average order value of a conversion. And the system then has this setting for optimizing. This then becomes kind of like the conversion value. So if you do that, you need to adjust your ROAS goals. Or what I also see advertisers do who don't know how much exactly they're willing to pay for a customer, they can also, or they just don't want to mess with the conversion value and don't want to change their ROAS on the campaigns, they can add a small amount, which doesn't really affect their overall conversion value, like a cent or a euro, but they can still then have their reports segmented by new versus existing customers, which is more helpful. So then how does the system know how to tell existing and new customers apart. At this point, you shouldn't be surprised that customer match lists are the most accurate way of providing this information. Because that is literally the data that is coming straight from your system. And in the past, it actually relied on auto detection using cookies, which was always patchy. And as we spoke about cookie deprecation earlier, it's only going to get more and more patchy. So customer match is the future-proof way to feed the data into the system. And another way to do this would also to just pass a custom parameter in your conversion tracking. If you have server-side tracking implemented, then that might be a solution. But customer match is probably the easier option for implementation. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in, but I'll get to them later. But keep them coming also. In order to, and I mentioned how we can actually help the system understand the data that we provide better. So in order to help the Google AI, we can label the audiences with different customer types. So we have we have all purchasers, we have high value customers, we have loyalty program members or disengaged customers for retailers. But then in B2B, we also have qualified leads and converted leads, which really, these are the labels we should apply. And then that's basically ties in with what I said in the beginning, that AI is only as good as the data that it has for optimization. And this is where our input is really critical. So we've this is how we activate our audiences in the account. We create our lists. Either you create it within your own customer management system and then download it, or if the system you use has an integration with Google Data Manager, then you can ingest the data right there. Then Google matches your customer data to Google accounts. And once the audience is created, all the data is discarded. And we can then, like I said, lists will either automatically get leveraged, or we can use them as a bidding signal. And you can also use the lists to expand your audiences and your customer lifecycle goals. And then the lists can actually be used across multiple channels to help you target the right person with the right message at the right time, regardless of where they are on the internet. So, they're leveraged in smart bidding for search and shopping, or new customer acquisition. We'll be talking about video and video discovery, Gmail, as more like a part in our demand gen strategy. And on our demand gen strategy, video here also includes YouTube, and DV360 is also where they are available. And we're now coming to my favorite part of today's session, and that's what I tell you about confidential matching. Because confidential matching means that you upload your customer lists into a TEE, we love an acronym, a trusted execution environment, and that is where it gets hashed. And a TEE basically is a virtual machine, or like a little, it's like a cloud instance, or like its own closed computing entity inside the cloud that only gets created for you to upload your data into it. And then the data is encrypted in that, and no one, including Google, can actually access the raw data. So this, for me, is the missing piece to convince the stakeholders, because before we had access to this technology, I often got pushback about uploading data. And we can hash the, I didn't know how to hash data. It was just, I always knew it was possible. I just hadn't figured out how to do it. And then I just, like I said, focused on maybe projects that were easier for me to achieve. But now with the TEs and confidential computing, we actually can do that. And then the data is safe. As I found out when I spoke to a lot of my family members who all work in cloud computing in some way, these are actually fairly standard now. And there is also a beta where you can get access to the code that these containers use, which you can then either inspect yourself to understand, maybe with the help of a Gemini AI to help understand the code. I don't know if that works. Or much more importantly, these codes actually can be receive technical guarantees from like third party. These can actually get like certified by like third party tech providers to really show that they are privacy safe. So this is for me the customer match game changer. So if you haven't used it yet, let me introduce you to Google Ads Data Manager. And we'll see this live also in our demo, but this is where we can manage audience and conversion data in a privacy safe way. And if you're handling your uploads yourself, this literally should be your single point for first party data. And everything that happens in Google Ads Data Manager is now by default using the confidential computing technology that I just showed you on the previous slide. We in total have 4 lists of getting our data into Google Ads. The first one are the conversion-based lists, which we already spoke about. The second one is custom APIs, and that's probably I have not worked with anyone who used one, so I wouldn't be the person to explain this to you well. But if you know, probably. Another option is using customer match uploader partners who handle hashing and upload. And if you are using a platform that handles your customer data, I think Adjust is on the list, Sailthrough is on the list, Salesforce, but there is a whole list of partners. If you Google customer match uploader partners, and you'll get the Help Center overview. And then you can see whether your solution is one of them. And then the last one on this slide is the Google Ads Data Manager that we just discussed, which is very self-serve and straightforward and available to all of us and privacy safe. And a good thing also about the Google Ads Data Manager is we can schedule our uploads because customer match list freshness is very important. And we actually see a 17% of increase in traffic and conversions immediately after refreshing the lists. So here again are the 3 steps of how customer match uses data. The first one is hashing. So data is, and this you can do either yourself or it happens in the platform. And hashing data is automatically formatted and hashed before it is being sent to Google. You can either do it on your local machine or it happens in the confidential computing environment. It's using the secure hashing algorithm. You can also upload pre-hashed data if you already have it. And this basically transforms email addresses into a list of code which Google cannot receive, cannot actually read the email addresses. Then the next step is matching, where the hashed data is then compared to the codes that Google has for Google accounts. And if there's a match, Google adds the corresponding Google account to your customer audience. And you can then reach customers with your ads and leverage customer match lists in all the ways that we've already spoken about. And not every user on your uploaded list can maybe be matched, but we'll talk about how we can make sure that we have a high match rate in the next section. And then the next step, the last step in the row, is data deletion, where Google is not keeping any of the data. And after the matching process, which can take up to 48 hours, the data is deleted, and there's also an ISO certification for this process. So we've seen how customer match is transforming audience building. We're leveraging our own data for smarter and more effective campaigns, as we just saw it. And now we can also do this, or we can do this while navigating consent requirements with confidence. So let's have a look at some best practices around customer match audiences. I already mentioned data freshness is really important because updated lists get more traffic and conversions. We'll talk about match rates more specifically in the next few slides. And then the easy option, using Conversion-based lists we've also addressed already. And let's look at match rate. So the only thing we can control is how many users we upload on our lists, right? But the match rate actually is what determines our final list size. So here's an example. Let's say we have an advertiser who uploads, or we are an advertiser who uploads a list that has 3,000 users on them. And then in this scenario, Google can maybe match 2,000 users because not every user on the list can be matched. And then also only active users actually end up on the list. So out of the 3,000 users on our list, we actually end up with a much smaller audience. And match rates are influenced by a variety of factors and the most important thing is the variety and the number of match keys that we use. The 3 primary keys are email addresses, mailing addresses, and phone numbers. And ideally, you should have all 3. And then advertisers can also still use user IDs and mobile device ID, but these are not like future-proof because they rely on cookies and device IDs, which we might not have. And we see that advertisers who upload a second match key actually see an average list size increase of 28%, and advertisers who upload also a third match key see an increase of 35%. So it's really important to have as much data, give the system as much data as possible. And some of the customer data partners also have other match keys that they can append to increase match rates even further. So I'll now go into my demo account and show you the most important things that I've been talking about live. So let's start with my highlight, the Google Ads Data Manager, where we can, getting so excited that I'm clicking in all the yeah. Sorry, here we are. Sorry, the resolution confused me a little. So you go to tools and then you have the data manager right here. And then we have all the different products that we have connected in this account visible already. And you can see all the ones, and there are more as well that you can connect. So here we have the Shopify that we are using. And if I now click add to add a new list, here now in my screen, you can see confidential matching is enabled. So whenever you see this sign in the top right of your screen, that's actually where you know that now we are operating a trusted execution environment. So then we can select our segment. In Shopify, it depends, I think, on your Shopify. It depends on your Shopify subscription, which lists you can have, which lists are available. But really, this depends on the partner that you're using. So we'll select customers who have bought more than once. And then here you can set up some filters, but you can only filter by the you can filter basically by the match keys. I won't open it because if I open it, I can't go back. And if you already have your data encrypted, you can provide more context here. Okay, I have not clicked on it, but it still does its thing. I'll just select one that isn't set up. Okay, I actually have to fit. Okay, now I can go to the next sorry, this is the demo gods are not my friends right now. But it's pretty straightforward. Like we can select and right now I don't want to put a filter because it's, or we can maybe say does not contain star. Let's see if that works. Okay, and now we can map the fields, which they also automatically map based on what we see. The mapping is already set up, but we could also edit it here. What's important to know is that you, like all the personally identifiable information should always be hashed, but then country and zip code will never be hashed because that's also not personally identifiable. And then we can click next. And this is where, we can also set up the upload schedule. And I'm not going to click finish now because this is a demo, but this is literally how easy it is once you have your connection to your system set up. And you can also use Zapier. I know we have a question of which CMSs and CRMs support this. Most big platforms do, but even if they don't, Zapier is always a good option to enable this. And the second thing I want to show you is how to create conversion-based lists. So for this, we go into the account admin, and then we go into account settings. And here we have the customer match setting in the bottom. So here we can enable that customer match list should always be used in smart bidding and optimized targeting. We can tick that on and off. I mean, generally, I would always recommend to have it on. And then we have conversion-based customer lists, which we can turn on here. And that really is the thing that I want you to take away from today's training. Like, that's a very easy fix. And I know we have a lot of questions on that, but I'll get to them later. And then the next thing I also wanted to show you is how we can show the system what our audiences mean. So I went into the audience manager, and here we have shopping cart abandoners, and we can actually check the box, and then you can see this customer type drop down here, and we can tell the system that these are basket abandoners. Or here we have all the different options. And this really is an important, a good way in which we can show the system what the specific lists are, so it can leverage them better. And then the last but not least, what I will also show you is the new customer acquisition. And I'm showing it to you at the account level. This is also This is also a setting at the campaign level if you want to do that. And we have it set up here. So I go to edit goal so we can see it. For this client, we know that an incremental, a new customer is worth another 28 euros to us. So we have added that value here. And then we can add audience segments of the current customers that teaches the system who are customers. And these are any of the lists that we have in the account. And in PMAX, we also have the option to have a goal for high value new customers, which if that has a specific value, if we know the value of that, we can add that here and then select the lists, and also lapsed customers that we want to re-engage. We can also set a value here and upload a list for those. So this concludes the demo, and I'll get to your questions at the end, but I just want to make sure that I also get to cover the last section. But please keep your questions coming. I see that there are very many very good questions in there, and that brings us to already the last part of the session. And the topic here is enhanced conversions. And I've already told you, we've spoken about the importance of first-party data in today's world of eroding third-party data. And we will run into problems if we if we don't prepare for this world. And enhanced conversions is Google's best tool to fill all the measurement gaps from the privacy and technology changes we spoke about earlier. And that's how we combine our first-party data with Google's user data and just provide the additional ground truth and also the higher quality data automation signals that then supercharge the Google AI. So here's a diagram that I brought in order to illustrate how enhanced conversions work. They allow us to send hashed first-party user-provided data to the website when a user converts. This happens either on the G tag or via the Google Tag Manager, or is also pushed via the API. And the data is then used to match your customers in Google accounts, where if they are signed in when they were signed in when they engaged with the ads. And again, it's using the match keys, so emails, phone numbers, or physical address, that is the data that the system uses to match. And if a user who has clicked on the ad is identified, a conversion is logged. And this then shows up in your Google Ads conversions. And after today's sessions, when you have implemented the conversion-based customer lists, the users will also be added to the lists. Here are the three use cases across bidding and performance that leverage enhanced conversion data. It's conversion measurement, especially across device and enabled view conversions, where it's really important. We'll talk about that on Friday. And it also helps the gaps that are left by privacy and browser changes. And then, we spoke about how customer match lists fuel smart bidding, but obviously having the conversion data in the first place, which we would otherwise be missing, is also very helpful. And then thirdly, enhanced conversions are also compatible with conversion lift studies if you run them, which is a topic for another day. Here are some stats of how enhanced conversions bring positive performance impacts to your business. We see an 8.5 increase in reported conversion rates and also a 15% increase in measured conversions. So enhanced conversions really are a game changer. They feed vital data to our AI models, significantly boosting the observability and increasing reported conversions, especially when compared with consent mode. These are all the different platforms and campaign types where we can leverage enhanced conversions, which we'll not look at too deeply in the interest of time. And then enhanced conversions is the solution that helps bridge the gap by leveraging first-party data that we might be missing out on. But there's also another measurement feature that is crucial in today's privacy landscape, and that is consent mode, because enhanced conversions are great if we're missing conversion data because of technical restrictions. But if a user simply does not consent to being tracked, there's nothing that we can do to make them, and we might miss out on conversions that will then not be reported in our accounts. And I am very conscious of time. If you have to run to another meeting, please do come back and watch the recording. I will answer all the questions at the end also, once I've gotten through the content. So if you have to drop off, thank you for staying with me until now. So what consent mode helps us is understand which users have not consented, and then it enables the system to basically model the gap based on what has been observed. We then have a tab which not all of you might be familiar with. I at this point painfully am, in our Google Ads account, which can actually help us find any diagnostics with on our enhanced conversions if it's not working properly. So you can, if it's basically if you go to your conversions on the conversion summary, on the conversions tab, you land on the goals tab, and then right next to it is the diagnostics tab, which tells you about how your enhanced conversions are working, and also has some other mentions some other features. And then there is also one of my favorites, the Tag Assistant extension in Chrome, which is now newly launched and back. And you can also use that to validate your enhanced conversions setup. So that's also something that I recommend you use for troubleshooting all your implementations if you don't yet. So this is the end of the content I have prepared. Before I start answering your questions, please, before you leave, fill in the feedback form for this session, because it helps me personally and also the wider team that puts these sessions together with me to understand how we can make them better in the future. So please let us know how we did by either using the QR code, or you also have the feedback form linked in your account. And I will now go through the questions. And if you have more questions, please keep them coming. I will be here until they all are answered. I'm just scrolling back. Okay, so I think the last question I haven't addressed was which information must the customer list contain? And we saw that on the slide, the match keys. I mean, you need at least one match key. That is usually email address, but more match keys are better. So email address, phone number, and physical address are the 3 match keys that work. And then we also have the question, so it's just uploading the data and let the machine do the job. Not quite. Luckily, there's still some work for us left to do, but definitely uploading the data and having all the information available in the system helps the machines do a better job. So it's important. And the customer data will be safe, yes, because it is in the confidential computing environment that we saw in the demo and that I told you about. And then we also have the question of, should you segment your first-party customer data prior to uploading? So, for example, different customer lists by category or product. This depends, on how much data you have available. Generally, my advice would always be a bigger list is better than a smaller list. So it's better to have one comprehensive list rather than many small ones. You could also have one comprehensive kind of like master customer list and then smaller lists, especially if you want to use them, for example, in PMAX as like audience signals, because maybe you want to advertise different product categories. And then that's where I think, different customer lists by category or product would be very helpful. I think then we have, what specific data should we connect from our CRM with Google Ads? We already explained the match keys. Then we have another question that is, do you need a specific opt-in permission in the customer consent process? Has this been challenged or proven in a legal case? Big disclaimer, I am many things, but I am not a data protection legal expert. So I cannot give legal advice, and I am also not up to date on like the latest legal cases. But what I know from my work, I use HubSpot with a lot of my clients, is that there is always a specific property that when we push data from the CRM into any platforms, like in enhanced conversions also, it like basically in the setup, it asks, like we have to also implement that kind of like property to say, has the user given consent? And then that property says yes or no, or it is empty. And only the data that, only the customer data where actually the user has given consent that we have recorded in our CRM is the data that we can actually use. And then we have the next question is, which source will give more accurate data, GA4 or your CRM? And that actually, famous answer, it depends. If you are using enhanced conversions, it might end so for B2C, I would probably say the CRM, just because it has more data. If you have the consent to push it, it might work. I would always say just create both lists. It can't hurt, right? And there might be people which you catch on one list and not on the other one. For B2B, a challenge that I often run into is lower match rates because people use their work, because I only have people's work email addresses. So there, using conversion-based lists is actually, almost like not a hack, but like it does sometimes catch people that I wouldn't be able to catch, because I only have their work email, but they might be logged in if they are logged in with their Google email while they convert, then that's how they still end up on my list. And then the next question we have in a B2B campaign, how can you stop bad quality leads from automatically being added to the customer list? I think this is basically the $1 million question for dealing with bad quality leads. I think the thing that I spent a lot of time with and optimizing against that. If you're using conversion-based lists and you can't really segment further, like then they will be added to the list. That is, I think the way around it would probably be to do some kind of qualification. Like some of my clients do that, where they have like a bit of a questionnaire, and then different types of leads have different, like they basically have different conversion events. So then the high quality lead ends up on the one list, and the other one has a conversion that doesn't end up. But in B2B, like I said, you want to, like if you can get you need a lot more data probably to make a CRM integration work, but that is how it works. And it is definitely like a good signal, because lead quality is something that we always want to improve. And then the next question we have is, does GA4 still rely on people accepting the cookie? I.e., is CRM data more valuable? Yes, GA4, as everything, relies on people consenting to being tracked. But so does CRM data. Like you also need consent from people to be able to share their data into the system. And then the next question we have is, what is the best format to upload? Either 10,000 customers with any purchase, or 1,000 but with high value purchases? Again, ideally just upload both, because you also want to see what your match rate is. Because with 1,000, I mean, you might actually end up with like quite a small list potentially. But we have we have the option to tell the system what the list is, right? So we can then leverage them. You can have them both in the account. When in doubt, maybe take out the ones who you maybe segment further. Like when in doubt, like bigger lists are usually more helpful. But maybe there's also a mix, like a halfway solution, where you maybe take out people who have made unprofitable orders, or who have only ordered once, something like that, to make sure that you have the best possible quality of users on your list. The next question we have is, for e-commerce, would you upload a bulk of all customers or segmenting? That I think I already answered. We also don't have 1,000 consenting customers to upload. Is there a way of using data from GText? Yes, that is using the conversion-based list that I showed. And then we have the question, if I have enhanced conversions, is it still important to upload customer match lists? I would do both. Enhanced conversions and using the conversion enabled list, like that is your go-to easy way of doing it, but you might, like, people might not be logged in at the time. So there is no thing. This is the problem in the world we live in today. Like, there isn't a perfect solution. So one thing, like one list might catch some people, which you wouldn't have, which maybe you won't be able to match from your CRM, but then your CRM also might have people who haven't who you weren't able to catch with the other one. So it's always a both. It's always good to have, cover all the possible bases. And then the other question we have is, should we submit a sector-specific customer match list to help the Google AI to better identify and target relevant audiences for our campaigns? Yes, if you want to use them for targeting, definitely, for both PMAX and also all other campaigns where you use audiences. And then we have questions. Yeah, which CMSs and CRM support working with customer match. Like, I don't have a list for you, but I am sure if you Google it, there will be one on the Help Center that is comprehensive. Most of the common ones do, is my answer at this point. Then there was a question about match keys, which we have answered. Then we have the question, will it be possible to set a lower value for audiences at some point? Maybe this refers to the new customer acquisition. I wouldn't know. If only I knew the Google product roadmaps, my life would be very happy. Then we have also a question, how can we assign the right values to various audience segments in Google Ads to help optimize bidding and targeting? I showed you, like, it's not values, but it's at least helping the system understand what a high value customer and what a lapsed customer is, and all those things. So I think that is how it uses it. And then we have another question, should enhanced conversions be implemented in both analytics and ads, or is it better to have it just in one instance? If so, which one? If you can implement it in both, it's helpful, because in the case for Google Analytics is then it doesn't just help you with Google Ads, but with everything that you use analytics for. And the case for Google Ads, you engaged view conversions on YouTube campaigns or on video campaigns, and view through conversions only work with Google Ads conversions, not with Google Analytics conversions. So that's why why it would be wise to do both. And then we have one more question, which is, can you touch a bit on how better it would be if we set up server-side tagging, and that will help increase match rates and the conversion list size? That I think is, unfortunately, goes beyond the scope of this session. And we are also out of time. But yeah, I think that's a very broad topic, which hopefully maybe we'll have a session on in the future. Or otherwise, there are other sources that can help you with this. So thank you if you were around until the end, or if you came back to watch the recording for the questions. I don't think we have any more questions coming in. We are at the end of our time today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for asking so many great questions. And if you haven't filled out the feedback form, you can also find a link to it right on your screen. And please let us know how we did, so we can improve our sessions in the future. I hope to see you tomorrow at the next session of our AI Summer Bootcamp. It will be about performance solutions with AI, same time, same place. I'll be here. And if you haven't yet registered, the QR code is there. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.